Hi guys, so today I am here to talk about something that's a little bit different from my channel, but then again, nothing's really different from my channel because it's my channel and I do whatever the hell I want with it, as you can see by the content. But today I'm here to talk about birth control. It can be a controversial subject to talk about, and I just want to start out by saying that I am neither saying whether or not it is morally acceptable to be on birth control with religion. I will say that I am a Christian and I do believe in birth control, so do with that information what you will. That's not really what I'm here to talk about. So I'm just here to talk about my experience with birth control and that kind of thing. So let's get into some of my history. So I think the first time that I went on birth control, I was probably 14. And so here's the thing about birth control. It's not just for controlling birth. It's not just for contraception. I went on birth control at the age of 14 because I had an extremely irregular period. My flow was very heavy and it was not consistent and regular. So I went on I think the first thing that I did was the depot shot. And if you don't know, the depot shot is a shot that you get every 3 months, preferably in your butt. And you alternate between butt cheeks. My mom and I used to just do it at home because she has medical experience, but honestly, like, anyone could probably do it. And it helps me at first to regulate my period. My period, I think, disappeared the first shot, and then as it went on, I started to get it back. Like, the hormones that it was giving me from the shot, my body started to become accustomed to that until the shot was no longer effective for me. I've also known a few women and friends, because they're friends of mine. I've had a few friends who have gotten pregnant while on the depot shot. So I don't recommend it for hormonal control and period regulation, and I don't really recommend it for birth control, contraception purposes. I also gained a lot of weight. I think it's the leading birth control, like for weight gain. Women gain the most weight consistently on the depot shot. It's just not my cup of tea. And then after the depot shot, I probably took that for 6 months to a year, somewhere in that time range. And then I think my OBGYN, because I had an OBGYN then, and because they're gynecologists too, and it's actually the doctor who delivered me, so that's why I went to her, because she'd been my mom's doctor for like, I don't know, 20 years. Probably not 20 years, but she'd been my mom's doctor for a really long time, and she, you know, delivered me, and I'd known her my whole life, so it was really comfortable for me. I think she had me go off all of it for a while so that my body would re-regulate to like my natural hormone levels before going from one birth control to the other, since I was only using it as a hormonal balance and not a contraceptive. So after that, I did the depot. I started doing, I think, just like daily birth control pills, and that did not work for me at all. For one, I've always been really bad about consistently taking birth control pills, or any pills, vitamins, cold medicine, cough medicine, allergy stuff. I'm really bad about taking pills on a daily basis. And with birth control, you have to take it at the same time every day for it to be the most effective. So was not working for me. And I also had to get a special one because at that time I had found out that I was anemic, so I had really low iron, and because of my heavy period, my body was like losing the iron in my blood really fast. Like, for women, the time that if you're anemic and you have low iron, or actually I think it applies to anyone who has, like, anyone, women, we lose iron really easily because we're bleeding for a week. I mean, like, it's just kind of like, obviously, iron is in your blood, so if you're bleeding out blood for a week, you are going to be low on iron. So I had to go on a special birth control where the week, the sugar pill week, because, wait a minute, let's just take a time out. If you don't know, birth control pills, you have 3 weeks. Usually, there are different kinds of birth control out there, but usually you have 3 weeks that are actual birth control. And then you have a week of what are literally sugar pills. Like, they do absolutely nothing, depending on what kind of birth control you're taking. Sometimes they have vitamins and stuff in them, which is the kind that I took. It was high in iron to regulate my iron levels. Yeah. Yeah. And basically it just has that week of sugar pills because that is when you are supposed to have your period. So you stop taking the birth control pills that week so that your body will release the hormones that let you continue with your cycle. So I did that for probably, I don't know how long, but I stopped. And then I was birth control, neutral for a couple of years, and then I tried to go back on the pills for a little while, and then I was birth control free. And that's how we ended up with Aria. Because I should have been on birth control at that point as contraceptive. But, you know, I made a bad decision. I don't regret the decision. You gonna play the recorder? I don't regret the decision at all, but it was I don't know, maybe I should have been on contraceptive. Now let's fast forward to currently, because that's really what I want to talk about. So, I am currently on the Nexplan, or Nexplan, depending on who you talk to. I've actually gone to the hospital before and they told me that my birth control doesn't exist, and I've whipped out this little card that I keep in my wallet and I'm like, yeah, it does, and this is the serial number of the, okay. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm on the Nexplan, and basically what the Nexplan is a hormonal implant that you put in your arm, which sounds really creepy. I actually use it as a, icebreaker party trick. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. I'm like, oh, come feel the implant in my arm, because it's right here. You can feel it. It's this big, and it's thinner than a Q-tip, thinner than a toothpick, so it's not a big deal. Hey! So, yeah, you can feel it. It lasts for 3 years. They put it in at your OBGYN's office or your gynecologist's office. They just rub. It's not lidocaine, but it's kind of it is actually, I think, lidocaine that they rub on. It's split is when they cut your arm open, it's seriously smaller than a paper cut, and then they use a needle to inject you. It lasts for 3 years. It is safe to breastfeed with, which is one of the reasons why I picked it. It is 99.9% effective. So that was a good thing, because I was still with her father at that time, so things were kind of shady, to say the least. But yeah, so the Nexplan. I have had almost a wonderful experience. So the first year that I had it, I did not bleed at all. And I had this put in September of 2014, a month after I had Aria. So my hormone levels were kind of already fluctuating because I had just had a baby. So I lost all of the hormones from having a baby, inside of me, but then I gained all of these hormones from having a baby over me all the time. I also had postpartum depression, which added to my hormone levels being out of whack. I was breastfeeding, which added to my hormones being out of whack. And I hadn't had my period for almost a year, and then I had it my hormones were just all over the place. All over the place. And then I got this, and no period for a year. For a whole year. Actually a little bit longer. It was more 14 or 15 months, and it was wonderful. It was being pregnant and not having my period without all of the horrible side effects of being pregnant. It was great. And I had absolutely no problems with it. I did not gain weight. I didn't gain weight. I didn't have headaches. I didn't have mood swings. What happened to me not having a period? That's what we're on. So then I started working around a bunch of girls who had very fluctuating and irregular hormone levels, where like when they would go on their periods, they would straight up be like the stereotypical girl, where they would have really bad mood swings. Like seriously, 1 minute they would be super happy, and then you would say something that wasn't even about them or to them, and they would start bawling their eyes out, and then they would be super pissed, and then they'd be happy again, and then they'd be mad, and then they'd be happy, and then they'd be crying, and then they'd be happy, and then they'd be mad, and then crying, and then happy. It was just like so hard to work with, and they would be super irritable, and they just had like. And then there was another girl at work who, she would get such bad cramps that she couldn't walk, and she would actually end up throwing up from it. So really bad hormones. And then I started to accept, oh, and then one of the girls at work also ended up getting an ovarian cyst, which messed with her hormones. So all of these hormones just like attached to me, because if you don't know, hormones are contagious. That's why your period will sync up with all of your female friends, or all of the females that you spend time with. It's just a thing. They like friendship, I guess. I don't know. So I started getting my period, and it was insanely light. Like the first 3 months, I don't even think I could have used a tampon. I don't think I could have used a tampon, which was like mind-blowing for me, because I've for one always been a strong tampon person. Like I don't like the feeling of their man long down there. And oh, thank you. I've also always bled too much to use like pads, so it was really weird for me using a pad. And then as time went on, my period started to get more and more heavy, and then probably within 6 months of starting to get my period, I started taking a multivitamin that was specially designed for women, and I think it was the Aleve Women's Daily Multivitamin. And I started taking this, I took it for 3 months, and during those 3 months I started to get all of the bad side effects for the Nexplan. I had an extremely heavy, extremely irregular period where I would bleed like super heavy for like a week, and then it would light up, and then I wouldn't bleed for a couple of days. I pretty much had a period for like anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, where I would be bleeding just like super heavy, like so heavy that I couldn't change my tampon fast enough, and then I would just like not bleed for a day, and then I start gushing blood again like a freaking fountain. So that was bad, obviously. I started to get really bad migraines. Like there was points where my migraines were so bad that I actually considered going to the hospital, because I felt like I don't even know how to explain how I felt in my head, but it was kind of like, I don't know, I actually considered for a second that I might have a tumor, because it kind of felt like there was a pounding inside of my head and my skull was going to crack open. They were so bad, and I literally couldn't do anything. I would just lie there and wait for it to pass. And so I had really bad migraines like that, and I also had the irregular periods, and let's talk about my hormone levels. So they got really out of whack. I was pretty sensitive, and also I wanted to eat all the time. Like I was always hungry, and I had really extreme cravings like I was pregnant. And I've explained this to people as kind of like the first time you get your period, like when you're going through puberty, all of those hormones combined with the hormones of being pregnant and then mushed together, because that is honestly what it felt like. I had a bunch of experiences and hormonal feelings and effects that were similar to when I was a teenager and just started puberty, and also to when I was pregnant, like the cravings and the extreme hunger all the time. So it was really fun for the people who lived with me. And yeah, I started to break out really bad, and I also got really bad cramps. where I thought I was gonna barf. I never actually threw up, and they usually didn't last that long. Really bad cramps, and I have almost, I think the amount of times, if we don't count the period where I was having cramps from the Nexplan and the vitamin, the amount of times that I've had cramps in my life from my period has probably been like 10 maybe. So I'm not a big cramp person. Never really experienced them, and then all of a sudden I'm experienced them, and oh my gosh, that was a bad experience. So I call my doctor and I'm like, bad effects, bad effects, bad effects. I need this out, I need this out, I need this out, like now. And they try to get it approved from my health plan or my health insurance. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for the approval, I have this like light bulb moment where I'm like, oh my god, all of these side effects happened when I started taking this vitamin. So I just stopped taking the vitamin and they've all gone away. I'm not as sensitive. I'm like as sensitive as a normal person, or as I normally am. I do not have extreme hunger anymore. Thank God. Because I was seriously like, it was an unquenchable hunger. And let's see what else. I don't have extreme cravings. The migraines are gone. I hardly even get headaches now, which is just glorious. I still have bad breakouts around my period, but that I've always kind of had, depending on like lifestyle choices and all of that. And my period has actually started to like re-regulate. That is the thing that has taken the longest to go back to normal, is like the period levels, because now I'm not breastfeeding anymore too, and my hormone levels over the last 2 years have just been like up and down, up and down, up and down. So I don't even think my body knows what to do. But yeah, so now I'm normal and I like my Nexplan again. I have another year of it left. Yeah, another year. Although I'm probably gonna have it taken out in February-ish, which is 6 months earlier than normal, because that's just when I'm gonna see my OBGYN. So it'll just be like, why am I gonna come back in 6 months when I'm here? Just take it out and put a new one in my next arm, and we'll be good for another 3 years. And hopefully I'll lose my period again, because that was just like the greatest thing ever. So I do still, there was a period where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna recommend people to take the Nexplan, but I still pretty strongly recommend the Nexplan. It's super simple, it does not hurt, it's like, you don't, people are really freaked out by the whole implant thing and like they cut open your arm. It's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. I mean, I haven't had it taken out yet, so I'm kind of interested to see what that'll be like. But as far as putting it in, it's pretty much like getting a shot. Like, I didn't even realize that I had been, like, I had an incision, so that's not bad. It's kind of weird when you feel it in your arm, but it's also kind of cool. And then, like, you can have other people feel it in your arm and they freak out, and I get a kick out of that. And I just thought it was really effective. I had sex for almost 2 years and I never got pregnant on it, so that's a good thing. And the only time that I had I didn't gain weight either from it. Pretty much all birth control says that you can gain weight. I did not gain weight on Nexplan. I did gain weight on almost every other birth control. I gained weight on Depo, yes, and I gained weight from birth control pills. You know, the fact that I didn't gain weight from the Nexplan was super great, especially considering it was right after I was like really postpartum. I was like a month postpartum, so I feel like I was really susceptible to gain weight, and I didn't. So thank God for that too, because I already had weight to lose. And the only time that I did have the negative side effects was when I was taking a women's multivitamin, and I don't know if it's because it was a women's multivitamin or if it was just a multivitamin. Like, I really don't know what about it affected my hormone levels, and I have not tried to take a vitamin since. I'm freaking terrified because it was just a horrible 3 months. So I was just like, if you're considering the Nexplan, if taking vitamins are important to you, don't get the Nexplan. But if you are not gonna like freak out about not having vitamins, then go ahead, get the Nexplan because it's great. It also might not affect you that way, like the way that it affected me with the vitamins. It might not affect you that way. It affects everybody differently, and I haven't found any research on the internet that like scientifically concludes my experience, and I haven't even had an opportunity to talk to my doctor about it. But sometimes with medical stuff, you know your body, and you also can tell when you start adding something into your health regimen, and then you start getting these side effects that, you know, you kind of know then. Why are you trying to feed me? You kind of know then that whatever you tried to add is affecting you. And I just might want to want food. So I hope that you found this information helpful. And if you have any questions about any of my experiences, just leave them down below and I will do my absolute best to answer them. And I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.